Hello and welcome to a very special Agile World. Hello, Sabrina. How are you today?
That was tame. Very well. Thank you very much, Karl. You now made me worried because you were actually incredibly tame today.
Oh, well, I'm saving things up for later. I think we will have an interesting discussion today, and I think many things will come out of it, and we will all learn. Well, that's my general view and my general hope. We have a lot of guests today. I mean, I feel quite cornered. Tim, would you like to sort of kick off by telling us who you are and a bit about you?
Yeah, my name's Tim Evans. I'm one of 3 co-founders of Truthsayers Neurotech, which is the next generation people analytics platform. We're collaborating, obviously, on this piece of work, and we'll probably unpack a little later what we do and why we do it.
Thank you, Tim. Payal, will you go next?
So great to be with you this afternoon. So I'm one of the senior directors at JCurv and kind of work with organizations to create this transformational change, which we'll talk about a bit later on, hopefully.
Excellent. Ben, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Ben. I'm an enterprise agile coach and managing consultant at JCurv. I've been doing agile related things, supporting organizations with transformations over about the last 10 years. And I am really passionate about helping organizations pragmatically apply agile to really get the benefits.
Excellent.
You're our type of guy, you really are. No offense to anyone else.
Well, no, so pragmatism is highly valuable in any kind of consulting, but even more so in agile. Emily, please introduce yourself.
So hi, I'm Emily. I work at the Agile Business Consortium. The Agile Business Consortium is a professional body for business agility. We're a not-for-profit organisation and we partner with people in the Agile community, so JCurv, Truthsayers, and we want to try and sort of share the findings and sort of make the world a more agile place. So that's why I'm here too.
Excellent. So as I said at the beginning, it's a very special Agile World tonight. And I'm going to actually let Sabrina and Payal tell us the story of this and why are we doing this special event?
Oh, where do I start? That's how you get me back, isn't it? So, originally, it's actually, no, I'm going to let you start with this because I'd like you to go into a bit of detail around the survey because that's how it all came across, really.
Yeah, so there's a little story here. So we came up with, this idea last year of, based on the back of version 1's insights on agile transformation, they always cite that culture is the biggest reason for why agile transformations fail. And so we kind of had this pipe dream of really understanding, some of the levers underneath that as to, what is it about culture that helps and hinders agile transformations. And so, we kind of approached the lovely ABC and Truthsayers to kind of help us on that journey of understanding and, created this truly unique global survey last year of understanding some of the levers, both on, industry level perspective, as well as what methodology of Agile is actually being applied in an organization. And Ben had recently joined JCurv, and I kind of threw the ball over to Ben to say, are you able to now help us decipher some of these insights into something that will mean things to people out there? But, truly, we have had some amazing insights. And I guess now it's around, we want to create this annual benchmark so we can see what's changing and where the improvements are and, which industries or which countries are actually doing better than others.
I believe this is not the first year. You did do it last year as well, didn't you, this survey? And you got, I'm just trying to think, I can't remember the numbers. You got quite a lot of uptake and information from that last survey last year.
It was in fact the largest global agile survey around culture. So we were really proud of that and somewhat surprised, but with the uptake that we got. But I think it's really symptomatic of the fact that the benefits of agile are pretty well understood and pretty well recognized in organizations now. It's not such a battle to say, is agile going to add value? That's generally, I think, quite well accepted. But the cultural issues are a real challenge. Getting it adopted, changing the culture, getting it embedded is really difficult. And I think partially that's because it's such a complex thing. There's so many different levels to it, and that was one of the really key things that we came together to do, was to try and draw some insights out of that and try and give a bit of clarity as to what are the different dimensions of culture, what are the different areas that you need to look at interventions in, and how does that vary between industries and geographies in different areas? What can we learn from each other? What can we learn from different industries? So that was one of the really cool things about the survey.
So I can kind of see JCurv's interest in it. What is Tim and what is Emily doing here? What are you adding to this, or what are you drawing from it? We go to Emily first. Why is Agile Business Consortium involved?
So we, as a membership organisation, we want to provide for our community. We want to be as agnostic as we can and try and gather the insights from around the world to find out how can we help and support those trying to make a difference, those trying to be the change in their organizations. And I think, like what Ben says, there's no one size fits all when it comes to culture. It's different for every single team, every organization, and it's providing people, we hope, with some insights to allow them to sort of think about where it is they are perhaps struggling, or where perhaps they need to look at improving to try and get them to progress in the right direction.
Thank you. So Tim, what is it you do, and what's your involvement in all this?
Well, I guess we came about in terms of collaboration. All progress starts with truth, right? There's a learned chap called Dan Sullivan said that, I think, and he's right. So maybe we'll get into the neurotech a bit later and unpack it, but essentially, because we can bypass people's conscious bias and quantitatively measure their true feelings, attitudes, and sentiment, it allows us, in this particular case and context with the state of Agile, to get a very true picture of that state of Agile landscape, an unbiased view.
So I'm going to challenge you there. How do you do that? Because it sounds like the nirvana of data analytics.
It does, and it is. That's a perfect segue. That was unplanned, everybody. So, really, Neurotech exists because of the shortcomings with the traditional survey methods. And essentially, there's two flaws in asking people questions and giving them a range of answers to choose from. So the first one is that if you do that, it's a cognitive process. You're thinking about what your answer is going to be. And from a neuropsychological perspective, inevitably that leads to conscious bias creeping in. Your answers are moderated. And the bottom line is you've got inaccurate, inconsistent information. So that's number one. The second one is that a lot of surveys and assessments, particularly when we're talking about culture, change, anything to do with people, you're trying to understand how they feel. But our feelings and our sentiments and our attitudes, all of that is generated in the non-conscious part of the brain, and traditional surveys can't tap into that. So if you want to bypass conscious bias and quant measure people's true feelings, attitudes, and sentiment, you have to use a method that reflects how the brain actually works, and that's what we do. And in the broad context of what we're talking about here, if you think about the broad change sphere, we've all been in organizations and seen change fail. And, the official plan as to how it was going to work is based on what people say. But actually how change emerges through the complex system that is a business and an organization is actually based on their behavioral side. It's what they feel, their attitudes. Now, if you can get a much clearer, richer picture view of that right up front, you've got a much better chance of understanding your people and transforming them in the right way.
Okay, that's sorry.
Is this the first time you've used this technique on this survey, or did you use a very similar technique in the last survey last year?
Yes, the survey last year was using the same technique. So we're building that with JCurv and the Agile Business Consortium. We'll effectively be able to benchmark it and almost act as an early warning system, seeing what are the new challenges that are coming through the landscape as they appear, as businesses change over the coming 12 months.
And I think what's really cool is, because we're talking about culture here, it's not something hard that you can feel, so it's really important that actually we have got a methodology that really goes under the skin of the emotional journey individuals are going on and organizations are going on to really try and, understand what those levers are.
Yeah, and I think, we've all, I mean, how many of us have seen that Agile in some companies that, they've got a whiteboard, they've called the team a squad, they've got some stickers on it. Hey guys, we're Agile. We all know it's not a process. It's a mindset. At an atomic level, it's a mindset. And so if we can get under the guts of understanding how people feel, it helps transform that mindset and take them on that journey with confidence, which is where JCurv and the Agile Business Consortium come in.
So what are you doing that's different from last year? Do you have, based around last year, have you decided some clear objectives or some learnings that you want to investigate further? What is the next stage? Why are you doing it again?
So building upon the benchmark that Tim and Payal have sort of mentioned. So this year we're focusing more on the challenges that leaders face. So we're going to be looking at compare the current levels and see how they compare. We want to look at strengthening the business. So the business case for the change and to become more agile. And then obviously looking at how the effect of the agile culture has on the leadership, because leadership, it came out as one of the key areas last year. So we want to really focus down this year on sort of just finding out some of the more nitty-gritty elements. And then obviously with the COVID happening over the last year, what effect has the pandemic had? Have we witnessed more organizations becoming more adapting and changing to that environment? Have they been forced, or have we seen? So it'd be interesting to see what comes out about that one.
So we are here as Agile World, and we believe in an Agile world. So is the whole world invited to participate?
Yes,
I did.
yes.
This is when you all go, yeah.
We didn't practice that one.
Sorry, we should have done a preamble for that one. It's just that, do you want software developers to do it? Do you want school teachers to do it? Is it anyone involved in Agile, or is there a particular demographic you're aiming at?
No, so we want everyone to fill it in, because all of these different perspectives will add to the complete picture. Whether you're in one of the frontline teams, whether you're a developer, whether you're a CEO, we really want to understand those perspectives. And it's across industry. So no industry is untouched in this. So if we had one plea, it's to say, try this neuroscience way of understanding what's going on. It's gamified. It's really interesting in how it works, but it's 7 minutes of your time. So that would be our plea, is to fill it in. We want your views to help shape what's happening, but also the levers that organizations can look to then start making improvements.
And the last one you did you publish it? I mean, what did you learn? Can people look it up and see what you got last time?
It's published. It's available on JCurv's website, on Agile Business Consortium's website, and we can certainly send through a copy and a link so people can access it directly through your podcast and through your sites. There was some really, really interesting insights last year. I think the punchiest one was probably that we found that a strong agile culture increased business performance by 235%. So measuring the perception of business performance in a weak agile culture versus the strongest agile culture, that business performance leapt significantly as the agile culture strengthened. I think one of the ones that I personally found the most interesting is employees prefer to work in an agile environment, which is probably not news to anybody who's gone on an agile transformation. But we saw that there was a trend upwards with learning, enjoyment, and feeling of making a difference. But with work-life balance, we saw trending alongside those. Work-life balance initially increased, and then as the agile culture got stronger and stronger, the work-life balance decreased. So in the end, you actually ended up with people who loved working in their environment. They were enjoying it. They were passionate. They were willing to do all of that, but they were working even harder. So if organizations can harness this, they're going to get a really engaged workforce that wants to learn, wants to develop, but actually is willing to put in the extra hours because they're that engaged with the deliveries and the work that they're doing.
And certainly I've seen that where I've applied it and given people control over their own backlogs. I mean, you try to do that in an enterprise and you say to them, you now control your work. And they're just blown away by the idea. You get people, I had people trying to do 10 different projects at the same time because they all interested in each of those projects. I think that's what true Agile is. It's actually giving people the ability to choose, and by doing that, by making those choices, add so much value across much wider areas. So
I was just thinking, actually, finally, there's some actual data out there that proves the reason and the wealth of what we actually do for a living. Because obviously you hear all this stuff, but everything you're describing is actual pure data to kind of show, like, this is why we do it. This is why you should do it. This is why you brought people like us in, and obviously people like JCurv in. So
why should people do it? I mean, 7 minutes. I mean, I'm a busy person. Is there a prize?
I think I'd kind of go, well, there might be, I don't know. I mean, I'd kind of go a little bit meta on that one, Karl, because I think, like we said earlier, we all agree that Agile isn't just a process, but actually more and more it's becoming a strategy for a company at a holistic level. You know, it's a enterprise agility is a strategic capability. If I was an investor, and I ain't got the cash, so I'm not, but if I was, and when I will be, if I was an investor or an active shareholder in a business, I'd be wanting to understand the level of enterprise agility as a capability in the business that I'm investing in. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, it was vital pre-pandemic, it became absolutely vital during the pandemic, and it's going to be vital post-pandemic, because if you can't change in an impactful time frame, in an impactful way, then it's going to be very difficult to continue to compete, to perform in your chosen market, and even hold on to the people, because if they're enjoying working for you, that's great. With a more mobile workforce now, that's going to be more difficult. So agility actually contributes to your employer value proposition as well.
It makes sense to me. In fact, M&A and investment companies is where I get most of my work, because they are the people that need to get performance or performant investments.
Yeah.
So when is the survey available? Where can people do it? Will there be a link?
There will be a link. That's the bit I was going to do. Oh God, you took my bit away from me.
Sorry.
When does the survey close? When does it start and when does it close?
It's live now, and we've got until the 31st of July, but I don't know if are we gonna keep it open for a little bit longer, Payal, or are we just gonna?
I think we'll close it at the end of August, so you've got time, but what we'd encourage you all to do is do it now, because what we'll do is we'll share some early insights, you know, post the summer holidays, so you can kind of see what that's looking like. But you know, for us, we want to get as many people to respond to the survey as possible, so yeah, we'll keep it open over the summer.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you very much. That was really insightful, and I'm really excited to find out what the results are from this year. Thank you, everyone.
And click on the link above, below, depending on where the video goes. We'll be providing you with all the link and information. And I can 100% say both me and Karl will definitely be doing the survey.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks all.